Hello, my name is Janelis M. Tirado Masonet, and in this presentation, I'm going to talk about a very common social problem in Puerto Rico, but it hasn't been resolved or diminished drastically. The problem that I chose is domestic violence in Puerto Rico, and I know that many of us know what it is and probably knows a person who has suffered this abuse, but we must acknowledge that only knowing is not going to resolve the problem, and we need to create some kind of solutions that requires actions, which this presentation presents some of the solutions I propose. Domestic violence is not a personal problem. In other words, it's a social problem. As a society, we need to help those who are abused. Right now in Puerto Rico, 83.13% of the cases reported to the police department of Puerto Rico were women. As you can imagine, this percentage is very high and it should mean something. And that may be that throughout the years, Puerto Rico hasn't been able to stop incidents like this from happening. And me, as part of this society, I have presented some of the solutions to diminish the percentages of domestic violence in Puerto Rico. First, we need to keep clear what the definition of domestic violence is, and that will be domestic violence is the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or other abusive behaviors as part of a systematic pattern of power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner that can be any kind of relationship such as um, homosexual, heterosexual. It can be girlfriends if they are spouses. It can be any kind of relationship. Uh, Partner against another. It includes physical violence, sexual violence, psychological violence, and emotional abuse. The frequency and severity of domestic violence can vary dramatically. However, the one constant component of domestic violence is one partner's consistent effort to maintain power and control over the other. Examples of abuse include name-calling or put-downs, keeping a partner from contacting their family or friends, withholding money, stopping a partner from getting or keeping a job, actual threatening physical harm, sexual assault, stalking, and intimidation. Mainly, these abusers want to take control of the victim's action, including withholding money, checking who they talk with, who they are. They feel the urge to know where the victims are at every moment and basically asking permission to them to do something. Many psychologists and counselors have looked for the causes or reasons for this violent conduct over another person's life, and here are some. The first cause is social. For long, domestic violence has been the cause of historical cultural roots. It has been passed for generations and generations, the belief that the man has control of, of the woman of his or everything around him, including children and family. This is to maintain the leader appearance. They need to take control over another human life because they believe they have the right to do it, since, in his perspective, they don't see their partner as equal. Also, many believe that domestic violence is learned, like for instance, the abuser growing up saw violence as something accepted in the society or in his house. Another cause may be health, because it can be only psychological problem that it needs to be treated. Media is another serious cause since it affects mainly the young people, because entertainment presents violence as exciting. Social medias provide a man role models that uses weapons or his own strength to resolve his problem. And finally, the last common cause is religion, since in many religions the woman is viewed as inferior to the man. They saw women as property or an accessory of a man's profits. The purpose of this map is for us to understand better how the police divide the cases reported by area. Since later on I'm going to present some charts that are divided by region. Accordingly to the charts that includes the number of the cases that within the region with more cases reported are the cities of Bayamón and Arecibo. Bayamón has a total of 1,470 cases and Arecibo with 1,076 cases. These incidents are that the victims are feminine. This chart is the official records of the government of Puerto Rico between the years 2010 and 2015 that represents or gives information about about the comparison between victims and offenders by gender. The total of incidents of feminine victims domestic violence in Puerto Rico last year were of 9,093 victims, and if we sum the incidents made to the masculine gender is 1,879 cases that it has a total of 10,972 cases reported last year. This chart helps to understand and distinguish the data in the last slide and see it in a more visual way. In the year 2005, 83 of the cases reported the victims were women, and the other 70% were men. As you can see in this chart, the difference between the years isn't big. It's not what it's expected to be as the year passed by, because the percentage of women in the last 5 years has been more of 80%, and men it has been 20% or less. Because because of this, we need to understand that all the efforts that organizations and community has been doing hasn't been enough to diminish these percentages along the way or in the short time. After doing a lot of research, I propose these ideas. The first idea will be get community organized. It's important that the community understand that violence shouldn't be something tolerated. Members of the community need to create a group of members that can intervene in situations where it's possible a woman is showing signs that is being domestically abused in any of its forms, and to help them leave their abuser safely. The second idea would be community education. Community is vital that the community teach the importance of domestic violence in the victim's life. It's also important to eradicate this problem little by little, starting in our communities, to make reunions where they talk about real social problems happening in Puerto Rico and what can be done to the benefit of every member of the community. Also, the community needs to start to be united, to take care for the family that surround us. Also, make collaborations with other organizations that help women who have suffered this abuse, including the police and or community gardens. The third idea is demystifying the ideology of romantic love. It's important to understand that just because the victim loved the abuser and believed that he's acting like that because in some way they provoke him, and if she do what he said exactly the way he says it, he's going to love you, he's going to love her again, isn't horrible. Things are going to change, things are going to worsen the situation, because each time the victim is more under his control. It's vital to understand that these things are intolerable for a healthy relationship. The fourth idea is to avoid the perpetuation of gender associated values. In many forms of media, woman is represented as the sensible, not strong, and too submissive to any man. This social construction must end. Men are capable to do any house-related chores, as women can perfectly be an achiever in any professional career she desires. Society can expect to everyone follow this wrong belief that women are only good to do some stuff and men to do the things that are not ladylike. This kind of bad social construction are things that mentally influence men to be abusers. And the last idea will be delegitimize violence. Avoid the imitation of television or video game conduits about violence, since create a person insensible toward this kind of situation where violence is one way of resolving a problem. The solution that I chose to be the more important of all is to educate, because every person needs to know about how domestic violence should be intolerable and how big is the impact of this abuse in a person's life and those around her. A lot of victims believe that they provoke their partner, and of course they fear him, because they don't know what kind of reaction the abuser will present for every action the victims make. And in many times they don't want to report this incident because they love that person and they don't want to see them get hurt when they are charged for the crimes they commit to their partner. It is better to understand that only you are in control of your life and that real love doesn't hurt. In conclusion, domestic violence is not a social problem that only Puerto Rico presents. Instead, it's a worldwide controversy that millions of women around the world suffers at any time right now. It is sad that there are women around the world that don't feel free to do whatever they want because they don't feel they have control of their own lives. That's why the world needs to worldwide organizations unite to educate people and help those in need, because domestic violence is everywhere. Thank you.